Welcome back to the Telosive EV podcast. Ladies and gentlemen, we're joined again. Discord cut you off, Randy, for me, which was kind of funny. It was like, those aren't words. It's hilarious, our auto filter effect.
It'll sound better on the playback.
Yeah. But how are you guys doing? How's the cars?
Is anything I say really words? I just make noise. So...
You just laugh at me for not having beta. That's your job.
To be honest with you, though, because since you asked how we doing with our cars, I'll start with mine. I tried the beta. It freaking sucks.
You're on the latest version?
Yeah. No, I had a really bad issue. I had a very, very, very aggressive phantom braking for no reason.
Ooh.
Where like to the point that the seatbelt almost left a mark on my neck.
Wow. That's pretty harsh.
Yeah, I was like, what? Thank God.
What speed were you at, and then what did it go to?
I was at 65. I was doing. I had it set to because I was on the freeway. I was at 65, just going down the lane.
I thought you were gonna say, well, it's hard to remember. I was asleep, but it was harsh. I know that.
It was hard. I was going through a parking lot.
It was enough to wake me up. Yeah, it was enough to wake me up.
65 in a parking lot.
So we're driving down the freeway. Me. Thank God it was just me, because that could have. Anyway, so I'm doing like about 65, maybe 60, because there was some traffic, but everything's moving, and I have the thing set to like 3-4 cars apart. So like I want nothing with nobody. And
I'm at 7, so that's dangerous to me. That's
no, yeah,
He's living on
3
the
or 4
edge.
is my wiggle room. And I'm in the far left lane moving, and out of nowhere it just went like, and it brought me down to like it dropped me down to like 40.
Wow. Yeah.
Okay.
That's pretty harsh.
And like I coughed. Like the seatbelt got me on the throat.
Was it near an overpass? Was there some trees nearby? Nothing discernible that would trip the phantom braking.
The only thing
that's always been my situation too. Whenever it's phantom, it's literally I can't see a single thing that it's reacting to. There's a ghost in the road.
All the cars, everything is just moving at steady, healthy paces, and it just cut me off, or it stopped me right there. I was like, And why I don't like that is because we're gonna have a situation. I can already see it. We're gonna have a situation again where I'm gonna get rear-ended.
That's right.
Because of the fact that I keep enough distance in front of me from the car in front of me was for my own protection, but I can't stop cars from behind me, and everybody wants to be around the green wrap, so I'm gonna get rear-ended. This keeps happening. This is not the only time it's happened, but this was the most aggressive in recent time. It's inevitable that this keeps happening. I'm going to get rear-ended again. And that, I mean, technically, liability-wise, I still won't be at fault, because that means somebody shouldn't be, tailgating me like that. But the fact that someone's like, hey, he went from 60 and he just slammed his brakes. Like, I can't, morally, I feel bad about that. So that's an issue for me. But anyway, so that was my beta. I told you guys I was going to report next week about it. That was my beta testing.
That's a terrifying report.
Now, I hate to be that guy, but also, if you're on the highway going 65, does that technically count as beta? I thought it's not a single stack yet, so once you get on the highway, it's using the old code.
The Navigate Autopilot code.
It's like the same as what I have, basically. Did it have like the red lines on the side? Or was
probably
it just
like
a
single blue line, right? I would think it's Navigate on Autopilot if it's on the highway, because
probably, like
Drew said, FSD Beta mainly operates on, exits and city streets?
Yeah, it's always
I don't recall.
City traffic and stuff.
I don't recall, Your Honor.
It's still a problem. Doesn't take away the fact that it's a problem. And you're on the latest version of full self-driving beta. You paid for it, and that's how it performs.
My lawyer has instructed me not to respond to that.
Yikes.
Honestly, I don't remember. I'll have to take a look.
I don't know, Randy. Check your front pocket. What's that, Your Honor?
Execution as well.
Well, you say for the court? Yeah.
My experience was very opposite of yours,
Breaking
Randy.
Saw.
This whole week has been nothing but streamline and pretty clean with a lot of the maneuvers that's done. A lot of the turns I do, like the ones nearby my house, does perfectly fine. A little bit more rougher this week than it was last week on that turn, but that's okay. Still a learning process. And then this one weird right turn that I've described in the past, slowed down as per usual. Wasn't perfect like last week where it didn't slow down, but that's okay. Otherwise, nothing on my end. So I'm very happy with how this update's been. But like Randy said, there's still its pitfalls with Navigate on Autopilot, and it seems like we really need things like Project Dojo to make it a single stack, or at least the integration of all this computing to make FSD Beta and FSD as a whole a more refined system, so that we don't get those instances of phantom braking to become a reality soon, because it's getting tiring and very very old, boring behavior that's very exhilarating in the moment, but very disappointing.
You know, the only time I would use FSD is when I'm doing long drives. I don't do it for the side roads anyway. So maybe that's why I can't report back on. I know I've tried it on the side roads, and I think I've noticed. I have noticed improvements. Nothing that I'm like, oh my god, guys, it's just like, oh, okay, it's less.
Oh my god.
How'd you say it, Mike? Confidently unconfident or something like that? Confidently uncertain.
Confidently uncertain.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's becoming less uncertain, but it still has the energy of confidence, which I respect, even if I'm in the wrong. But it still does, like when it's getting onto the on-ramp to get onto the freeway, it still starts to speed up, and I'm like, no, slow down. There's a yield. This is a freaking yield. Stop speeding up. And it's just like no. So,
oh, mine's the opposite. Mine goes, mine stops all the time when it's a yield. It's like, oh yeah, I'm not gonna, just breeze through this. I'm just gonna stop right here and generate a crap ton of traffic behind me.
I wish it could. I wish it could have like it can have trained behaviors, because the yield sign, when you're driving up to the on ramp and you curve, the yield sign isn't posted when it curves. It's posted once you're already on the ramp, and then you have to come to a stop and then go. So it's speeding up, like I'm gonna get on the curve, and then it turns, it sees the yield, and it goes. Ew. I'm like, ah. So.
It's basically the inverse of what you're supposed to do.
Literally, yeah. It's the
and it speeds up when you should slow down, and then it slows down when you should speed up.
You have intersections. Green is go, yellow is go faster, red is stop. It's doing that. It's like, no, it's going to go faster. I'm like, no, please don't.
I had a question, since you guys have been on Tesla vehicles longer than I have, because I can't quite figure out what the issue is, because I'm not on the beta, but I am still on whatever you call it, the full self-driving public package that you don't have to be approved for. And
FSD
for one, I find it funny that I used Autopilot off highways, and people said, Drew, Autopilot's not supposed to be used off highways. And then I'm like, why do we have stop sign and stoplight control if it's not supposed to be used off highways? Is it because of all the stop signs on the freeway? I don't know.
There are some freeways that have stoplights or stop signs, which is pretty entertaining here in the Bay.
I have not found those, but
they're great.
Yeah, we got them out here.
I haven't found a recurring pattern with how it responds to green traffic lights. Occasionally, when I have, I have everything turned on with Navigate on Autopilot and stop sign control and, traffic light and stop sign controls on. Occasionally, the light is green, it just goes through, and I don't have to do anything. Other times, the light is green, I can see that it's green, the computer sees that it's green on the visualization, and as I get closer, it goes, confirm on gear stock to continue. Like, you have to push the accelerator, you have to push down on the gear stock. Otherwise, we're going like 70 miles an hour on the freeway. The light is green, and the car just goes, I gotta slow down for traffic control now. And I'm like, you know it's green. You know it is. So, but other times it doesn't do that. And I'm trying to figure out what circumstances makes it not require confirmation for me versus, is it if a car is in front of me and it sees that car go through the traffic light?
Yes.
I don't know.
This is something that came out, I think, when I first got the Y back in 2020 or late 2020.
I remember that.
Where they rolled this out so that you could use autopilot a bit more on city streets. But they wanted to make sure that you were paying attention while using autopilot so you weren't abusing it.
Right.
And that nothing would go wrong with it, with you in the car. Well, of course, it wouldn't do anything if you're not in the car because you're not in the car. But it's basically a measure so that way it knows that you are paying attention. It's not a measure of it self-driving and having kind of that issue. It's more of, are you paying attention? We're going through a green light. We need you to confirm that you are going through a green light and that it is a green light versus...
Unless someone else goes
Unless
through
there's
it
someone in
first.
front of you. If there's someone else right in front of you, then it's not going to ask because it already can see that someone else is going through that intersection. So it assumes, okay, green light, car in front of me is going through, we're good. But if no one's in front of you, it may not know or may not know that you are paying attention. Which sounds kind of weird
logic.
and illogical.
That's bizarre to me because it's like that guy in front of me might not be paying attention. How do we, how do we know? How do we know the guy in front of me is such a good driver? Like, and I'm also thinking like if the car knows it's green, what? Like if I don't have full self-driving, like when my subscription runs out, it doesn't ask. It'll plow through every green light, no question. I don't have to confirm. So I'm like, on the free tier, it's honestly easier. It requires less confirmation, assuming I hit a green light. Sorry, if you hit a red light, it'll go straight through,
So he's
which
just
I
going
feel
through
like
red
is
lights in his hometown.
more of a safety concern. Like, oh, you didn't pay for red light detection. It just plows through everything. I almost feel like that should be on the base version of Autopilot, arguably as a safety feature. Like, okay, sure, I should be paying attention. I agree. But in the event that I'm not, you would rather the car go through a stop sign or go through a red light because I wasn't paying attention? Or you're saying, in my opinion, it would make more sense that by default, if the driver's either not paying attention or has a heart attack or passes out, the car should come to a stop at a stop
picture Squilliam at the Super Bowl.
sign. Yeah. Squilliam falls back. If the car is on autopilot and I'm not paying attention, I don't think it should plow through a stop sign or a red light. I feel like the default should be stop. Sure, if I'm passed out, maybe you don't need to continue. Maybe it can turn on the emergencies and be like, yeah, the driver's out or something. But to me, the logic there was like, I wish I could pre-schedule the confirmation, you know? Because like
That'd be nice.
I see the green light way ahead, and it's like green for minutes at a time. It's like one of those stoplights in the middle of nowhere, where the only time it turns red is when another car comes in the oncoming road, but it's like a back road and no one's ever there. I see the green light way ahead, and I'm going 70 or 75, and I'm just like, I want to tell the car, just go. It's green. Just keep going. So I'm like getting ready to push down on the gear stock.
Yep.
And then nothing. It's like, well, there's nothing to confirm. The gear stock does nothing. So
I'm pretty
I just wait
sure
and wait.
if
and
you
wait.
hit the accelerator, that's also a confirmation.
It is, but if I'm on autopilot, it's because I don't want to put my foot on the accelerator the whole time.
You're never
That's why I'm on.
fully autonomous here. You have to do something. So just
I know, but that's what annoys me. Is like the whole point of adaptive cruise control and autopilot is the lack of micromanaging, the lack of little touching, and I have to wait and wait and wait until the car says confirm with accelerator or gear stock, and until that point, I'm just having to wait or hover over the pedal and just be like, okay, waiting for it, waiting for it, waiting for it.
That's autopilot.
Confirm with accelerator. Okay, now I push it, and I'm like having to time it just right.
This
And
is
I was
worse
like,
than Luke having to use the Force on the Death Star. No! Boom! Gotta do it.
You turned off navigate on autopilot. What's wrong?
Nothing. I'm okay.
I'm all right.
Yeah,
Yeah,
I think it's
so-
just a
Kenobi in
bunch
your
of old.
ear, just guessing it, dude. Use the
I think it's a
Force
bunch of
to-
old code that the car's operating
is.
from back from 2021
It's very old code.
that the engineers
Yes.
are not focusing on right now. It ties back to what you said, I think, last week or many weeks before, or every single week that you've had the car, is that
Or
that
every day.
right? Is that the focus is on FSD and FSD Beta. It's not on Autopilot and Navigate and Autopilot or anything around that right now. I think, honestly, kind of tying into what's going on, oh goodness, probably this evening, but by the time this comes out, I don't know if it'll come out today or the day after AI Day Part 2. But what they promised last year was a lot of things. Stuff specifically
Yeah.
like, I'm looking at some of the notes that I took over here, but basically being able to look at more vehicles and pedestrians on the road, look at the road topology and be able to predict things, combining both simulation and reality so that the computer can operate in a augmented reality world in a way,
Yeah.
while also providing a lot of that reinforcement learning. And a lot of those promises need to be made, or at least I think are being pushed a lot by the people at Tesla, because they promised this back in 2021, and still a lot of that stuff hasn't come around, and it's 2022 now. A lot of promises have kind of just been left in the dust, with no updates, no wiping off of the computer screen, so to say, and seeing what's new, or trying to get it out to the public necessarily. Or they're trying, but they're not succeeding. So I think that's kind of that ripple down effect in a way that we're seeing with Autopilot and Navigate on Autopilot, where we get a bunch of phantom braking, even though that they said that they're kind of turning off the radar in cars that have the radar. We still get that.
Mm-hmm.
And the same with you, Drew, where it's like, I need to confirm to go through a green light, but if I don't have the package, I don't. The logic's not there. So it's
Yeah.
very
I kind of
much-
miss base Autopilot now for that reason.
I wonder if that vertical stack integration will fix it whenever we get to that. It's been like 2 years since Elon's talked about it, I think, or maybe a year at least. And
You know,
we still haven't seen it.
Did you watch did you catch Drew's video this week about the big picture dilemma? Did you watch that?
The big picture dilemma. I probably did.
Okay. I mean, I'm not putting you on the spot, but I'm a better viewer than you. Just putting that out.
Okay. I mean,
Kick him off.
No,
I've got a whole
You
bunch
didn't
of
do your
images from-
homework.
You should see my other screen. It is nothing but images from AI Day Part 1.
Yeah. So, because Drew, you kept me up that night. Yeah, I was sitting there like, it made me think. Because you contextualize something that I felt and I didn't know how to articulate in a way about this dilemma that Tesla has, going just off of what even Mike is talking about right now, that like promises. It like, how did they say it in House of Cards? Like the road to hell or something is paved with good intentions, and it's like there's now, Claire, what do you want me to do about that? So they have all these great ideas that I genuinely believe in the moment that they announce that they mean it, and then
It's not deceptive. It's not lying.
I don't. Yeah, this might be the Elon's version of the reality distortion field. I may very well be being played here, and if it is, then I've been fooled. But I don't believe it. I actually think that there's no deception, no misleading, no trying to inflate stock and this and that. This is just them really excited about the advancements that they're coming up with in house, and unlike other tech equivalent companies that feel like they need we can't just say it, we can't just announce it, and other people like to showcase it at CES and like, here's our concepts. Tesla's just like, yo guys, this is really cool and I want to show you this. And I think the reason why we all get so hyped about it is because we believe that energy to be genuine. But with that, there's a lot of promises that come that we just don't really see elaborate on, because for the listeners or viewers, if you didn't catch that video, Drew basically was given a timeline of, hey, they started on this thing, and the moment something else kind of presented itself that was a bigger picture, rightfully like let's look on that, because big picture for them is that if we fix that, then it should trickle down, and it should have a waterfall effect or a snowball effect that would cause
FSD Beta will solve all the problems
Right.
with enhanced autopilot.
and then
That'll fix
robotaxi
phantom
would solve the
braking.
FSD beta, but then AI like the robot would solve that. But so like it's like they keep elevating for themselves about seeing this bigger picture, and their vision or their belief that how I see it, and my takeaway is that if we've solved this bigger thing, innately by design, it will fix the little things too. And even if that's true, though, certain things like phantom braking is still a problem. Certain things like the whole, am I supposed to acknowledge the gear stock accelerator, or like there's no consistency about it just because there's a car in front of me or not. Like there's just little things, the day-to-day minutia of it all. Just like there's little things where you're like, it's kind of frustrating.
You're not important.
Yeah.
There's a bigger picture we're addressing. And I feel like it's easy right now because the emphasis is on FSD beta. It's really easy for us to assume, well, that would solve all these things. But I think we could easily find ourselves, and because of the AI Day invites with the hands and everything, and they keep talking about Optimus and the bot and all that. And I'm like, I think we could very quickly find ourselves in a situation where FSD beta gets neglected and they stop updating that because they're like, well, we need to solve the bot because that's a bigger market, that's a bigger picture. And if we solve bot, that will address, because Elon's always said what you need to solve FSD is like artificial general intelligence. Like it needs to understand context, it needs to understand, and bot will help us understand surroundings and context better. But I also think that's a way longer development process. I think that the bot has so much more complexity, so much more surroundings to interpret. It's not just roads and pedestrians. It's like, how do you hold things? How do you pick up things? How do you walk? How do you navigate this environment? How do you clean something? How do you... There's so much like edge cases that expand with bot that you could say, well, we have to get bot working first, and that will solve robotaxis and,
With the bot situation... So my pushback to the video and the premise there, which I mean, this was a cool speculation you came up with. So I'm trying to play devil's advocate with my own speculation. I want to believe that Tesla has all these different teams working on different sections all at once. That ideally should, in theory, overlap with one another, but shouldn't indirectly or directly affect each other based off of certain things. And I only say that because of someone I know who worked on a certain portion with specifically enhanced autopilot. They were tasked with very specific instructions on what they needed to do, and that was it. They don't worry about FSD. They're not supposed to focus on FSD. Their task for the project with the enhanced autopilot was to get a certain interaction down. Like it needs to get this part. Say hypothetically that it was like the parking lot situation, like the summoning. Like, all right, let's get the summoning happening, and your job is to get it to understand all the moving parts and elements and how it, or just backing up, self-parking, backing up and get that right. Like their job is just to get that and nothing else. And when that's done, and we tested it, it's done. With the beta part, we put it in the next beta build that with the update that would come out. Ideally, I want to believe that is how they operate. That if all the pieces fall together at once or not too far from each other, cool. But if these guys who are supposed to get the lane changing down don't get it down, that's on that team over there. We're over here figuring out the whole reading the intersection part of it. Like that's, to my understanding, how that is these little puzzle pieces. And once they get their little corner or their part of the puzzle, the jigsaw figured out, it's on the rest of them to kind of figure out, but their part's done, and then they go work on the next thing. So I want to believe that. I don't have definitive proof. I don't know. But if I could push back on that concept, I hope that, I guess basically what I'm trying to say, I don't want Tesla to put all their eggs, focus all their things in one section only. Stop what you're doing. Everybody now focus on this. I don't want that to be the case because that's a single point of failure.
I
To
agree.
provide a little bit more context on that as well, and a little bit of pushback to your previous comment, Drew, their goal, verbatim, is to achieve the best AI training performance for FSD, and specifically enable a large and more complex neural net model that is more power efficient and cost effective to compute things. So it's not necessarily let's get the bot ready and going as soon as possible. It'd be nice, but it's a side project that has a lot more focus right now just because they are focusing on FSD, and a lot of FSD is applied to this robot that provides many benefits. Now, is that all the focus? Probably not, but it does seem like it, especially with a lot of the hype and a lot of the promo and a lot of the chit chat as well. It's an unknown region that has a lot of speculation and excitement surrounding it. So that's why it may seem like there's a lot of focus from the Tesla team on it. But like Randy pointed out, it's a lot of jigsaw pieces. From the engineering field, personally, what I've experienced is that, yes, it is very much like sections of teams doing things, and you have your own little task. And eventually you finish your task, which then integrates to your team's task. And once your team's kind of done with their stuff and everything looks good, there's that puzzle piece. And then it has to integrate with the next team's puzzle piece where they've gone through that. But you still also have to consider that maybe one of those puzzle piece teams did not get the result that they expected, which will domino effect to your puzzle piece. So what you thought, like the answer, break it down to just simple numbers for like simple math. Let's just say you expected they get an answer of 2 and you have an answer of 3, but instead they get an answer of 5. That means maybe you have to have an answer of 6. So then that means you have to go back to the drawing board and try to figure out how do we get 6 versus what we have right now, which is 2. So stuff like that. So there is a lot of that, not cross-contamination, but a lot of that influence from other teams, which is why it seems like a lot of these problems aren't getting solved, because a lot of things are in flux and it's moving and the teams are still struggling to try to get something working cohesively, and which is why beta is the way that it is.
But then doesn't that mean, if what you say is true, Mike, then doesn't that innately mean that it is the big picture dilemma still? Because if their numbers don't add up, and it is all working towards the same end user experience product for them, that if this section over here is not communicating well with this section over here and they're having different results, even if they're just in their own little bubbles having to solve it, doesn't it still get the same big picture problems? Like, because why else is it not getting done then? They're like, we still have to go back to the drawing board. And if the next thing is that, like, well, the reason why our numbers aren't adding up is because this section over here now introducing this new issue contradicts this. Even if it's a command, there's maybe a contradiction or something. And so by them introducing new concepts or new, like, hey, here's what we can do, you bring in new problems, which is why FSD will be ready next year, is the longest running joke. Because we introduce new contradictions to maybe the problems that they're trying to solve. Thus, now it does make it the big picture dilemma.
Yeah.
Still,
a good example that maybe I'm trying to put forth is it's both, I guess, is my quick answer to that. Is it's both. It's both a big picture and a small picture dilemma.
Yeah.
But a good example is Tesla's own Autopilot / FSD experience, where you'd think, okay, Summon is a part of this, right? Summon has to be some way of integrating it into navigating an autopilot from point A to point B, and it's supposed to park itself. Does it ever park itself? No. Those that say that it does are not correct in the fact that it will take you into the parking lot. I've actually got to experience this recently where my car took me into a apartment parking lot that it never has before. I'm like, wow, usually it just stops on the street or just passes by. Instead, it actually went in. Cool. But it doesn't park itself. And that's a sacrifice they're willing to make with that current build and what it's been now, is that it gets you basically there 90% of the way there, 98% of the way there, whatever percentage you want to allocate to parking. It just doesn't park itself until you get it into that position where it's like, oh yeah, I can back up into this, or oh, I can parallel park into this. That's when it'll do it. So there are sacrifices that they do make in this big picture for instance, with the Tesla bot and FSD all surrounding FSD as a whole or automation as a whole and autonomous driving. But I wouldn't say their main issue is always just this big picture focus and never being able to accomplish anything, because we are living proof with our cars being able to do a lot of these functions, even Drew as well with Autopilot. But they do have their
They
shortfalls.
still feel incomplete, though, to me, is just what I mean. Like,
yes.
It feels like they get going on a project and then find a bigger fish to fry. And then I would love to believe what Randy said. I would love to believe that they have all these separate teams, and there's a beta team, and then there's a Navigate on Autopilot team and a Smart Summon team. But when there's just so little changes for like extended periods of time, updates roll out and like nothing changes to those features, that's what makes me believe, because we always have to fall back on that in the videos. Well, they're not focusing on that right now. There's not much attention being given to that feature. It's like, well, why isn't there? Isn't there a separate team, or is everybody all hands on deck on beta? So that's what I have a hard time believing there is, as much as I would like there to be dedicated teams for all these separate features, especially when they don't change. And it feels like there's still so much improvement to be made, whether it's the nagging, whether it be eye tracking or something, or whether it be the phantom braking, or the car wanting to stay exactly equal distant between two lines, even if there's objects in the road. I would love to talk to whoever thought it was a good idea that if we see a blinking yellow light, we need to slow down 10 miles an hour no matter what. That I've never noticed as many yellow lights as I do now on the drive on the freeway.
My
complaints
complaints were not unwarranted way back when you first got to check out the Y doing this in the Bay
Not
Area.
at all.
It was...
There's so many blinking yellow lights everywhere, and I never noticed them. I never saw them until I got a Tesla. And now every time
nobody
Autopilot...
cared to know who I was till I put on the blinking lights.
It's like, oh my God, blinking yellow light. Slow down, slow down. It's like, no one does that. Like, does anyone actually... It's not a construction zone every time there's a
Take
blinking
the steering
yellow
wheel.
light.
Boop, 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 boop. I'm here. Stop
There's-
yelling at me.
I know. There's literally a blinking yellow light on my freeway that just says to tune into a radio station.
Mm-hmm.
That's all it says.
You
It's
poor
just like,
fool.
tune in to this radio, and there's lights blinking. So
Time to
every
slow
time
down.
we go by that, basically a billboard, Autopilot's like, So now every time I get to the part of the freeway with the yellow lights, I have to just hold my foot on the accelerator. Let me get ready. Here it comes. Come on. And I got to fight the car to keep it at maintain speed. And I'm like, this feels like, this was a problem back when I first met Mike, and it's still a problem, and it hasn't been addressed. It's kind of a side tangent, but especially with like driveways, I've had several times where pulling out of my driveway, which is gravel, it thinks there's lines that I'm departing. There's no painted line. There's no asphalt at all. There's not
driving
even
to the
concrete.
yard.
I'm just driving through on a gravel road, and it's like, you're departing your lane, and I'm like,
Oh, okay.
I wish that when it comes to like auto park, especially if you're parking in the same place all the time, you could do like a recorded drive. I wish you could, because something that's different that I would love to ask if I was at AI Day or something. I'm not going, by the way, but if I was there and I could talk to the engineers, I'd be like, for people who own their cars that want to use FSD, is there any point or advantage to documenting certain experiences and having the car remember them so that it doesn't really matter what circumstances are present, it just knows where it is? Because I think that's how humans drive a lot too. We drive in the same places routinely, and FSD Beta has to treat like every road, every turn, like it's the first time it's ever experienced that, and it has to interpret that every time. Whereas even if it's rainy or windy and there's a bunch of debris, you guys often will drive in places that you've driven 100 times before. So you're like, yeah, visibility's not great, but I know there's a turn there. I know I can make the turn, or, I know that this driveway is safe, even if the car thinks that there's lines. I interpreted lines this time. So I wish I could like record a parking experience and be like, when you get to this part of the road, follow my lead. You know, like I'm gonna do it myself manually, and you pay attention, watch how I do it, and then next time just repeat what I did.
I'm gonna
And
do
it will
another
know exactly-
SpongeBob reference. Do exactly as I do. Exactly as
Right.
I do.
That's a new
I
feature
broke it!
request I have. I broke it. That's a new feature request I have for FSD is repeat after me or do as I do.
Parrot mode.
Just like, because there's like our driveway's a little complicated. You know, you have to like come in a certain angle and then you have to back up a certain way and stop in a special place and
Well,
You
expect
gotta
the
pay the
car to figure that out.
toll. You gotta answer 3 riddles.
Yeah.
there's also
And
the
I don't-
bridge troll.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah.
You have
I
to
don't
guess
have belief
Rumpelstiltskin's
that-
name and the whole thing.
And I don't have much confidence that auto park is going to change in the near future to just figure that out. And it's kind of like my approach of Mac OS on iPad. I'm like, we could wait for iPad OS to get all those features, or there's a shortcut that would solve all this really fast.
Right.
That's to me like the shortcut approach. But
I
Tesla
know
would
this
be
is
like,
more
no,
bleeding
no.
into tech, but or you could also just wait until they cave and still give you stage manager anyway. And then at this point,
Yeah.
We're bleeding.
What's
We're
interesting,
bleeding
Drew,
through it.
is that when I was scrubbing through a lot of AI Day Part 1 from last year, earlier today, they did reference something like that in regards to it learns from prior experiences. But I haven't
I would
seen
like
evidence of that at all.
No,
I'm
I haven't
exactly in the
seen
same-
it, but I like the concept.
I think your idea of a parrot mode per se is a
Parrot mode. That's good.
is a decent idea in regards to like helping it train. And it just increases a lot of the instances for a specific location that FSD is having a hard time. Like the places that I referenced, the weird turn into the road to my house or the one to work. Those are a little bit
Yes.
weird roads that it doesn't do well. I have to put my foot on the accelerator or I have to take control or something like that. And the same with you in your driveway where it's like, hey, we know that you've had trouble here before. Here's how you do it. And like maybe it takes like 5 parrot modes enough for it to be like, okay, I think I can get it because I could follow or like layer all these 5 instances together and then basically follow the average of what that route is at what speed. And if there is a change in those scenarios to what's going on in reality where like there's a car in front of you or there's a cat or a garbage can or some debris or anything like
should
that.
still pay attention.
It would
It's not like
still
it
pay
ignores
attention.
its surroundings.
Exactly. Is that
Yeah.
it would still use its sensors, its cameras and all that to detect what's going on. But in the back of its FSD mind or whatever, it still is seeing through those lenses of here's the path I'm taking at this velocity, which is a great idea. But it's not. It's interesting. I'll go a little bit more on this and I'll stop. But watching AI Day Part 1, there were so many of those promises of like, look what we can do in simulation. Look, there's a Cybertruck on the road, but like it looks real, but it's fake because it's all simulation. All that. Here's what it can do, or here's what we're planning on it to do real soon. We're this close, and look at all the things that it can do, and like being able to layer.
Pretty sure
things
they said
together.
Dojo would be online by now too.
They were what they said is they were supposed to have all their cabinets or the initial part of their cabinets ready in the next few months is what they said in the video. So Dojo is set up per the guy's statements from last year during the event, but plans change. But even still, like I said before, a lot of these promises, a lot of these features that looked like they're coming very soon or looked basically like it was going to happen still haven't happened. We're still struggling with the same issues as before. It's just a toothpick thickness better in some cases.
Toothpick.
I have.
Pearl want to auto park.
I want an actual parrot mode, and I want the parrot mode to be like, what's his name?
It's like dog.
Yago. No. What
Yago.
is going on here, Jafar? We need
Rest in peace.
Gilbert
Gilbert
Gottfried.
Yeah.
1 million robo taxis by 2020.
That would be something that I'd actually be interested in as well, as being able to change the voice of the computer, because like you could turn on like the navigation
would be
voice.
nice, yeah.
I never use it because I don't want to hear a computer screaming at me while I'm trying to listen to music or talk to someone in the car. But it would be nice. I would turn that on. if it was Gilbert Gottfried's voice, or
We're living in a simulation.
or I guess in movie review type of news,
Yes.
have the voice of Darth Vader be that voice as well, because he signed off as his voice being able to be AI generated and do all this stuff. Bring it to the Tesla.
When you start taking your hands off the wheels too long, I've been watching you, third sister. I'm here. Just gotta hold
I
on
find
to
your lack of beta disturbing. That would be great. I agree. But we should probably, we've been talking about this all podcast. Do you guys have predictions or expectations going into AI Day? To the squeakle, electric boogaloo.
No, stop it. Stop it. That's
Electric
terrible.
Boogaloo.
All the terrible sequel. Oh, the squeakle. No, I
Reloaded.
Reloaded.
Reboot.
AI Dayer. I'm trying to do Dumb and Dumber. AI Dayer.
ER on the end.
AI Dayer. I
would like,
No.
we're going places we ain't never seen before, Jay.
I don't have any expectations or what to, because as audience, remember, this is not an Apple keynote event. This is a recruiting tactic. This is not free promo. This is a recruiting seminar to
I
hire
kind of
more.
look forward to the days, though, where Tesla has Apple-like events, where it's like an annual thing.
Good morning.
For this product.
Good morning.
And here is the Cybertruck, and it's coming out next week. What?
They have like
And no one
refreshes
else-
and they just
Our team
dive
has solved the
into
problem, and we're calling it Cybertruck. Yeah. Rip.
no one else can figure it out.
No one else can figure it out, but our team has, and it's called Cybertruck. Now you got Rivian, Lightning, and yeah.
I think the closest they got was last year with the chip. Just because, like, I mean, how else are you going to introduce, like, how you build a chip and all that? But
Yeah,
they got pretty close to Apple with that.
it was jarring though, is what I remember about AI Day, because it was like 2 hours of basically like a classroom lecture of like deep dives into neural net training and AI, and then they're just like, and how does this relate to our products?
Dancing robot.
Next slide, humanoid
You
robot
need that
comes out,
guy.
starts dead.
You need that guy from Ferris Bueller's Day Off. And then anyone, you're gonna
Anyone?
have for drive anyone, and how is this gonna relate to Tesla? Anyone? It's yes, the quantum theory physics. Very good.
And then, guy in a jumpsuit comes out doing Gundam style, and everyone's like, wait, what? Like, what am I watching? Like, what?
Yeah.
Like,
Whoop.
What I do expect is to be wooed from this event. Is not just the technical jargon that I can half understand. As an engineer, I should understand more, but
Yeah.
a lot of it goes over my head because it's a lot of software engineering stuff, which I did not
you don't
learn.
have our excuse.
Well, my excuse is I went down a different path in engineering that was a lot more tougher in my experience with mechanical engineering, because it's regarded as one of the toughest branches of engineering that you could go down next to chemical and nuclear and all that.
You fool.
Right. But a lot of software stuff, a lot of the things that they talk about in AI Day definitely goes over my head of like, what? Because, I mean, I took a robotics class. I didn't really have fun. But I do love like the mechanical side of it, which is why I went mechanical engineering. But anyways, I do expect to be wooed by graphs that actually make sense rather than here's a curve, here's another curve.
Michael, I didn't know what got you hot and bothered was a good-looking graph. I said
Why do you think
graph,
I'm an
not
engineer?
giraffe. Graph. Not
And now
giraffe.
you understand why I use the giraffe. But I do expect to be wooed by a lot of the visuals and some of the updates that they have coming. I don't expect them to come. I don't expect, like last year that I've been complaining about a lot on this podcast, I don't expect a lot of things that they're going to announce today. Whenever this podcast comes out from AI Day Part 2, I don't expect a lot of that to come to fruition for a while, especially the robot. Maybe we'll see a prototype. That's what I maybe expect, is some skeleton there. They already had like a mannequin there
They seem
last
to
year.
Yeah, they seem to be hyping it up this time.
I
like
think
that
they'll
there's a
actually
demo.
have it there this year, and it'll be able to walk like Asimo in a way. It'll be the Asimo moment of a robot walking up and then maybe waving hello or shaking a hand and then retreating back to somewhere, or maybe doing some stretches with its mechanical joints. So that's what all I expect. You. Nothing crazy.
I predict it will walk and wave and then walk away. I'm not even predicting stairs. I don't think it's ready for that.
If it comes out and gives the presentation, I'm.
You're what? No, what do you? I don't know what you mean.
I'm calling John Connor from the future to come fix this.
That'll get rebooted later.
Randy just walks up on stage with a shotgun and blows it away.
Da da da, cha 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 cha, boom.
He says, "You're welcome." It's like the caption of that meme will be like Randy taking a loaded gun into a crowded event and destroying a multi-billion-dollar prototype.
You're welcome.
Away. You're welcome.
That's a very long caption.
This is still in California, though, so you couldn't do that.
You don't
Maybe
know
if
where I'm
the
at.
AI day was in
Texas.
Maybe if
Apparently,
AI
a lot of
day
people think
was
everywhere I
in
live is a
Texas.
lie. They think this is all an illusion.
I think
Randy's still in San Diego. He never left.
Yeah, honestly, if he was trying to trick us that he was somewhere else, he'd be doing a terrible job because he has the same setup at every
well, that's the point, is it's everywhere, so he could be anywhere.
Oh, my green screen? Y'all thought it was Drew using green screens this whole time. It's me.
It's a good effect.
The refrigerator was fake all along.
Yeah.
This is 16.3. You guys don't know about that yet. This is iOS 16.3. Yeah.
He's on the internal beta.
Yeah. You guys don't know about that.
No, I'm saying they've decided to have AI Day in Palo Alto instead of Texas because they thought if they had it in Texas, everyone would pull out their revolvers and start shooting the robot as soon as it came out. They were like, let's go to a place with less guns.
Nah.
See what happens.
Palo Alto is their tech headquarters, or at least where they do a lot of the AI stuff. And
I like Drew's
I'm very
version
jealous. I like that too. I'm very jealous of all the people that get to go because it's literally like, well, not literally, but basically like not too far from where I work. And by the time I get off of work, I could technically go there. I won't be allowed in, but I could feasibly try to get a sneak peek of anything, which last time I did that, I barely saw a Cybertruck headlight, and that was it.
Oh, that's right.
So,
you saw a little...
Yeah, that was last year. Wow, it's been peak. Yeah.
I feel like there might be a bit more going on this time around just because I watched Chris from Dirty Tesla's stream yesterday, and he said that this year they've been inviting more members of the media, not just last-minute like engineering people, and they also had to sign waivers, similar to the waivers we signed going into the Rivian First Mile event. Like a disclosure of, if there's injury or something. So I think there's going to be like rides of some kind. I don't know if it's Cybertruck or
ride on the back of
whatever.
Ride on the back
the
of
bot
Puzzlebot.
will give you a piggyback ride.
It's actually
I
just
don't want it to be able to do that.
Listen, if you ever wanted to feel demasculated, let a robot give you a piggyback ride. I'm going to feel so demasculated. I'm just going to sit there like this the whole time.
I think it would be quite terrifying to know a bot could lift that much weight.
It can only carry 45 pounds. So unless you are very... It can deadlift 150 pounds. But...
Still not enough. I'm knocking that thing down if I jump on its back. It's
only 125 pounds. So.
I am going to judo kick the heck out of that thing. I'm going to... Hadouken! And just... I'm gonna sumo that thing.
He does that thing where you jump and then hit it on the head.
Nuh-uh. I'm a product.
No, I don't
I'm a
think
product
the bot
of
will
the
give us
90s and
rides.
2000s. I don't trust anything I can't kill. I'm killing it.
Texas Randy.
Another prediction I'll give though is I think the media is gonna tear into this. I think they're gonna hate on
The
it
stocks are going
so
down.
hard. Yeah, like
They're not gonna understand what's going on.
For one, they're not gonna understand it, and for two, I don't really blame them because of the timelines with Tesla. Like, everyone's gonna be really skeptical and doubtful, and I'll be like, well, you have reason. Yeah, I understand why you're doubtful here, because a lot of the things they said they were going to do haven't been done, and it's still like, well, we're getting there.
We'll be ready next year.
Yeah, next year. I predict that the bot will look nothing like the Optimus of last year, like the bot that we've all seen for the last 12 months. It's not going to look anything like that, and it will probably not be very impressive demo. It will be like super slow and probably look really janky and really clunky, and it won't do anything very impressive, and everyone will be like, this is a joke, this is a scam, this is vapor. Like, I think there will be nothing but like negative headlines surrounding it. I don't think anyone's going to have much of a positive, other than the Tesla fan base, but that's, they could do anything.
I would
and
say,
have a positive reaction.
to caveat that, people like me who understand all the work that goes into this, I'm going to be amazed if it does anything remotely like climbing a stair or even walking, because that means it's able to balance. It's able to balance on 2 legs. That's a tough feat.
Yeah.
If you watch any Boston Dynamics videos, you can see it's tough. Those things are large, and if it looks anything like Atlas, I understand, because, man,
if a robot dog chases me with the inverted legs, nightmares. Nightmares.
That thing is scary.
Yeah.
I'm gonna be amazed if it walks around. I think it'll be impressive, no matter what.
I guess I've just seen that before, which is why it would be less impressive to me. Like, there's been walking two-legged robots. And honestly, at this point, the bar is pretty high because of Boston Dynamics. We've seen them dance, we've seen them jump and do parkour and do
Flying
flips.
buildings.
That's kind of the
What was the team
the
that
standard.
did that whole what was the thing named? Sophia? You know what I'm talking about? The girl who...
Oh,
who
you're talking about the AI lady.
Yeah, with the open brain back.
I totally forget her name, or the
I think it's
company
Sophia.
name. But yes, I recall the artificial intelligent robot that
if
had
they-
weird facial features.
Yeah, where it's like... Because it's Uncanny Valley, where it's like, you know, it's not real.
That was... Are you talking about
Don't talk about me. It ain't me.
Mishima? That was a movie.
No.
Oh,
Ex Machina.
No. He's talking about Sophia.
You're talking about Ex Machina.
No. I'm talking about Sophia.
Yes.
Huh.
The
Anyway.
Saudi Arabian citizen now.
That explains a lot. Yeah.
What?
Oh, Sophia did die.
What?
She died last year.
Wait, how does a robot...
No one told me!
Wait,
First
that
the
thing
queen.
was alive?
Now this...
Why?
Wait, remember the Grinch? Are you two still living? That's how
I can't believe Sophia's still alive.
Are you still if AI Day brings out the bot, I just want it to like look like Cortana or something. Then I'd be like, all right, that's cool.
No, that's an artificial intelligence. We don't want a robot
Whatever.
that looks
Look.
like Cortana.
You know it's called AI Day, right?
Yeah,
Because-
but they're not showing off in the AI. They're showing off a robot.
It's like that
has-
other film, Bicentennial Man. Like I want it to look like Robin Williams, and it just gets more and more human. Oh, hey, look at me. I'm a robot. Oh, hey.
Imagine
Good morning, Tesla investor.
Good. 1,000 years really put a creak in the neck.
The bot turns to it. Look at me from the side. Do I look different to you?
And then
Rule
Like,
number
people
3.
are gonna. They're gonna do side by sides of like Tesla bot last year, Tesla bot this year. Like, oh my god, what happened? Like,
It
everyone's
has
gonna joke about
fingerprints.
On the positive side, though, we're memeing a lot here, which
Yeah.
I'm fine with. I love memes. But best case scenario for me is that they give Robotaxi rides to the press. I think that would be really cool.
Ooh, that's a tall order.
I'm not saying they have to reveal the Robotaxi vehicle. I'm just saying, like, they have a guy in a Model 3 or Model Y or whatever. It's all Model Ys now.
they did back in
Everybody-
2017.
What did they?
They did.
2017?
Back in Palo Alto, the original, was it 2017? It was the original.
2019, they had
2019.
Autonomy Day.
Yeah, Autonomy Day. They
Yeah.
did the whole thing. They took off from HQ, went on to Highway 280 for a brief time, then came back. And the guy didn't touch the wheel at all. So they could easily do it today with all the tech
old
that they've developed.
UI too. That what makes me mad. Like we got new, refreshed, cool UI, and I'm like, and I still have to grab the steering wheel when I pass cones that are not even on my side of the road, and it's go boop 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 boop. I'm like, it's not even on my side of the road.
There's a place I didn't tell you earlier, but there's a place with a stop sign. There's a lot of stop signs kind of on the drive back to my house. And I have stop sign detection, so I'm trying to use it. While I have it, I'm like, hey, cool, it stops for stop sign. And it's still, there's one particular stop sign where it kind of goes downhill after you stop. And it comes to a stop. I need confirmation. I tell it to go. And then it gets like halfway through, and then it panics every time. It goes, take over, take over. I can't see. So I take over, and then there's the turn to get onto my street. And whenever I make the turn, I just use my blinker just like every other time. And I make the turn, and it freaks out again. It says, you're departing the lane. You're going over the double yellow line. And I'm like, I live here. We go here every day. Like, every time I drive you, we go on this exact same turn. And if Autopilot was on not long ago, it panics. But if Autopilot wasn't on, it doesn't panic. It's very weird.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
I don't...
There is an intersection nearby my work that basically turns off FSD. It freaks it out so much that it gives the warning light or the warning sound and the take control now, and then I can't activate FSD, and the visualizer goes back to like nothing on there as if I didn't have FSD, and then it takes about a minute and a half or two to kind of reboot. So,
see, the fact that still happens is what always makes me so skeptical of a robotaxi. Is like, it can't do that. It can't be like, I don't know what to do. Like, I'm stuck. It just stops in the middle of the road, or like, I don't know. What does it do when it panics, like, or shuts off? Like, the robotaxi will have to just not have that as an option. And I'm very curious to see what Teslas do when there's no screaming panic option, which it loves now. Slightly curved road. I can't see 2 feet in front of me. Oh no! You know, like, what does it do? Does it just stop, or does it pull over? Or...
just self implodes or explodes.
Explode. Plays the light show.
Middle of the intersection. Just starts playing the light show.
It just plays the light. Yeah. So I'm hopeful, but I just want. It's what I want to remind people is, like, I'm not doubting Tesla because I hate them or I don't like them. It's like it's a defense mechanism. I've gotten excited. I've gotten hyped for them before, and the AI being around the corner and the robotaxi thing. I've drank that juice. I know what it's like to feel like, guys, it's coming and people don't understand. It's real. It's happening. I've got that way before. That's how I was after Autonomy Day, and just to have deadline missed and missed and missed.
It breaks my heart to see the innocence leave you ever so slowly, because when I became jaded, and I remember distinctly saying, until they can solve it in New York City, it's not going to happen. And you looked at me like I was like high or something. Like, you're wrong. And
now people look at me that way. I know what it feels like.
And yeah, and I remember seeing, it's like, oh, Drew, you poor innocent little soul, you. And now fast forward. Now I look at you. I'm like, oh God, he's just as jaded as I am. Like, but it's out of a place of love. It's not because I expect or wish failure. It's because it's like, I want to believe so bad, but now it's like, just, let's talk more. Show me. No more 2 weeks. No more next year. Just whatever happens.
I would love to just be more realistic about the situation.
That's
what
really.
I would love.
Yeah,
because I'm really a fan of the beta program, and I'm a fan of the development getting better and watching how much more the cars can do. I'm not saying they shouldn't be pursuing any of this stuff. I want level 3. That's still my dream. I want the car to drive itself without me paying attention. I would love that. And I think this is the best way to go about it. I don't think Waymo's doing it better. I don't think Cruise is doing it better. real world crowdsourced data is, in my view, the best way to go about this. But you're setting expectations way too high and causing so much disappointment, like how I've felt every time you set these timelines and say that it's close or we're almost there or it's going to be here by this time. Just drop all that and just let this be like a fun,
hey, look what we
like
have.
You said, this is what we got. Like Randy described it earlier. He's like, it's just like, guys, we really want to show you this. This is cool. Like, it's a garage project,
Yeah.
It feels like you're coming over to your friend's house. Look at what we've come up with. Look at what it can do now. And we all want to go, yeah, that's great. And imagine if your friend was like, and for only 10 grand, you could be on the ground floor. And we'd be like, oh, no. Like, Brandon, I'm sorry.
Yeah, I'm letting you guys
We can't-
get in, early investor. Be an angel investor with me. I'm
Right.
kidding.
That's what it feels like. And I'm like, no, I want to see your cool project, but don't try to like tell me this is all going to make us rich in a year.
Right.
When it's making us, this is going to make you 30 grand a year,
Well, I think what
it's
does
those
help
kinds
is
of
a lot of that hype
presentations.
does breed that excitement of people being like,
Mm-hmm.
I could buy 10 of these, and then I could get such a
Yeah.
huge profit off of it. Which, to be fair, Elon started it with, oh yeah, you can buy one for 40 or 50,000, get 30,000 back within a couple months or a year or whatever. It's like not happening.
That's where I think the lawsuits are going to come in. I really think people are going to get upset about that. I think that like going up on stage and listing annual returns is like, ugh. That's, even if they don't get sued for it, even if they have a great legal defense team for it, it just leaves a sour taste in my mouth to know that they were like, for 7 grand, this will make you 30 grand a year. And I'm like, ooh.
Yeah.
Especially when there's a lot of talk about like there's been more discussion lately because Tesla has these new patents on HD radar, and now there's more people talking about maybe
What about 4K
Tesla
radar?
Ultra. We need Ultra HD radar.
8K radar. When's that coming?
Samsung has 8K radar.
3D radar.
Waymo.
Wait, radar's 2D. But once I started seeing that, I was like, is there going to become a point where they decide, what if in the future they decide that in order for this to work, we need to install more hardware? Can you imagine the retrofit program? Everybody who pays for FSD has to get HD radar or extra cameras equipped to the vehicle. Like, that's going to cost so much to
I
add
don't think-
back.
I think the answer is you just buy a new car at that point. Because, like,
But Tesla promised full self-driving to the people.
promises
Like,
have
Randy
been
paid for it.
broken. Promises have been broken.
Well, that's when they'd get in real trouble. Because they
Yes.
said, like, all hardware with these vehicles for full self-driving
And
is
that
now
might
included.
just have to be a bill that they'll have to pay.
Ooh.
Ooh. If I got my 6 grand back, I would be like, all right, well, pleasure doing business. Later.
Time to buy a Rivian.
That's
The
an
thing
interesting
is, like,
question.
imagine.
Would you take a refund if they offered it?
Yeah.
Free
Wow.
money? Sure.
I would take a refund. Look at it like this. This is what I would tell people today. How much is it now? 12 grand?
15.
Oh my god. Whoa.
It's more than double when you bought it.
Take $15,000 and buy Tesla
Whoa.
stock.
You can take that as... No, don't take it.
And then you can buy
But
a
that's my logic,
$30,000 car, which then
Like-
buys another.
If you have 15 grand to put towards FSD, don't
The
put it
subscription
towards
is still...
don't put it towards FSD. If you I got 15 grand just burning a hole in my pocket. Don't buy FSD for 15 grand. I'm not even saying
It
it as
ain't worth it.
financial. I'm saying it as like there is so much more. There's so much more value. There's so much more return you can actually get from putting 15 grand in anything. Anything that, like I said, the stock. If not the stock, that somebody's got debt somewhere about buying a new house or a car, or a new, like put it literally towards anything else. Do not put 15 grand on software. I would take a refund now only because it's been over 3 years, and the improvements have been this much. And as I've told you guys before, if I had to do it again, I would just do the subscription model. I don't use FSD like that. But when I do, I want to appreciate it, and I'll do it for 30 days. That's fine. So,
I don't always use FSD.
what do I do?
I subscribe.
Yeah. I'd say I don't regret my purchase of the FSD package at 6,000, 7,000, whenever I got it. I have enjoyed my time with it, and I do value it because it does make my drive that much more interesting. And I always look forward to not just driving the car because the car is amazing, but also seeing what's new with that software. And yeah, one could argue I could do the same with a subscription. But then kind of the mindset that Drew's brought up a lot is it's another subscription that I have to worry about. I don't want to worry about that. I'd rather pay outright at the very beginning and then be like, yeah, that's a bummer, but now I've got it. And yes, if the car gets totaled, oh well. But at least I don't know. It's
Mike, do you think you've gotten $7,000 worth of value out of the software right now? Honestly,
I think I'm halfway there. Honestly,
okay. If you're being not like,
I think
that's
it's
how
been
I have
about
to look at it.
$3,000 or $3,500.
Yeah, I would agree with
so
you
far.
there. I would agree. I don't think I've gotten $6,000 value out of it. I think I got around, I'd say about 3 as well.
Yeah.
So that's
most expensive software I've ever paid for.
yeah. Yeah, maybe it's the fact that, like what you were just saying, Mike, like maybe it's the fact that, like, if something happens to my car, I'm screwed. Like, there goes my FSD. It doesn't roll over. It doesn't stay with the account. It stays
But I
with
learned.
the car.
I
learned from that mistake at that point, and that's okay. That just shows me, okay, I got to experience something that was very unique.
Just put your money in crypto like the rest of us and learn that way.
I ain't doing that. I've already seen too much hell from that. I've seen too many
Just
scams.
buy
I've
Doge.
To the moon.
To the moon.
I would like to buy a cyber whistle, but I'm not buying cryptocurrency just to buy a cyber whistle. But anyways,
If you want to learn a valuable lesson, just put your money in crypto like the rest of us.
I'd like to learn the lessons that I know I won't get scammed at the end of. But
Yeah.
at least in this circumstance, I didn't know I was going to get swindled as much as we have in the last few years. Or at least I finally got to check out new features in the last year since beta started. But I do think it has been at least half worth it at this point with my time with the car after, has it been 3 years? 2020? Yeah, almost 3 years now. So it's been great. I wouldn't say it's been a failure. I just think Tesla needs to put a lot more manpower into the teams and have a lot more goals set that can be achieved and communicate those achievements to the public. So that way it's not like, oh yeah, the next update's coming soon, and you get the updates like, I guess things are a little bit better. Like, they do show it in the breakdown of what the update has improved on, but like, oh yes, now you can move the blind spot camera to a different location. Cool, but like the percentages helped this time is maybe what I'm getting at from this most recent update list is like, oh, it's now 37% better in this, or it's now 50% better in this, and all that. It's like, okay, that's what I'd like to see, or like at least show some of like what I said before, some of the goals that you set out for this year, or at least this update, and what time you achieved it, and what you're aiming for next. Stuff like that I'd like to see, at least as someone who's invested in FSD Beta and is a person who uses it all the time, or not all the time, but at least once a week, and wants to see this succeed and become something more than it is right now. Give me that.
And a question coming up a lot that we should probably address as well is, do you think we will see or hear them talk about hardware for the next generation full self-driving computer? And if you remember, back when they announced hardware 3 at Autonomy Day, they announced it and cars already had it that were built months before Autonomy Day. They were like, we've been shipping this in new cars for a few months now. So some people are like, are they already starting with hardware 4?
That's a good question. I would think, wasn't there a comment previously saying that Cybertruck was going to have hardware 4? Because if so, if they're still following that, then hardware 4 is in development. as much as Cybertruck is in development, but I'd say Hardware 4 is definitely a lot further than Cybertruck development at this point in regards to actually producing it. But I think it's close. I think Hardware 4 is close, just in proximity of that statement of it's going to be with this vehicle. So I think Hardware 4 does exist. Is it on some test mules in Fremont? Probably. But
is it in my car, Mike?
I don't think it's.
That's what I'm asking.
No. Is it in the room right now with you?
No.
This is Hardware 4 in the cabin as we speak.
Closest relative. If it's going to be with the Cybertruck, then okay, so we'll see it in 3 years.
Right.
No, I'm under the belief that Hardware 4 requires like upgraded cameras. I don't think it's just a chip. I think it's like a resolution increase. It's a whole sensor suite, and we haven't seen any changes to the cameras or sensors with the existing vehicles. So I do still think they intentionally said it'll launch with the Cybertruck because they knew the Cybertruck was kind of far out, so they're like buying time with it. But there were like supplier contracts I remember reporting on that they were buying new cameras from Samsung that were like higher resolution. So I think what Elon said last year was we don't need Hardware 4 to achieve safer than a human self-driving. It's just like Hardware 3 can get us like 2 to 3 times safer. Hardware 4 can get us like 10 times safer. So that's how they work themselves around like we don't have to retrofit all Teslas with Hardware 4. Like that won't be required because we will technically deliver FSD to all Hardware 3 cars. But no, I don't think that's ready. I don't think my car has it. I really hope it doesn't, because with how it's been performing, that would be quite disappointing if this is Hardware 4.
Phantom brake all the time. Trigger the warnings 24/7.
This is the new generation. Wow. Boom, 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 boom.
Drew, you wanted to be the beta tester for a new technology in a Tesla. You got it. It wasn't 4680s. It wasn't LFP.
Oh, God.
It was Hardware 4.
Yeah. I am very annoyed with this whole beta process of getting on it. It's not the same as iOS beta, that's for sure.
No. Oh, no. Not even, no.
Which is free, by the way.
Jeez.
But how about your guys' best case scenario? What's the best case scenario of AI Day for you?
Ooh, like wish list or like realistic best case?
Well, be realistic. Be realistic best case. Don't be like, and they decide to give everyone free FSD.
No, that's not what I mean. I meant like,
Yeah. Free ice cream.
Best case scenario, like wish list
everyone.
is something that would be like a WWDC type of a thing. But if we're being realistic, I would say, I would like to see some type of, I don't even know what would be the right word to describe. Like, I want, they're not workshops. Shoot, what is it? It's like
Demos?
I want demos, but so the whole signing of NDAs and stuff like that mean like you're going to see something that we don't want you to talk about, but yet media and press is going to be there, so you have to talk about it. That right there, my like best case is that whatever they're not supposed to talk about is because they're closer to releasing something than maybe we're anticipating, and NDA means like, okay, a non-compete. We don't want to have this like out there for someone else to try to, get ahead of the curve with it. And that tells me that we might, whatever with the AI, even though it's recruiting, we're gonna see something that. Don't do that, Mike. Don't. Anyway. That what Mike showed. I want a floating Cybertruck. No, I want to see something. I want to see something that that's like realistic in regards to something that is like a software update. Something that's if it's close enough that they want to show us, we're gonna get that's pushed out to everybody, and it comes a little quicker in a way that we than we were anticipating. That's my best case scenario. We're going to get something that we... what is going on? All right. I'm distracted. The chat's too weird now. I can't. I lost my thing. I want best case to be AI that's not on a new product, but pre-existing product. That's best case.
A really impressive software demo, basically.
That's right. That's right around the corner. Why else would there be an NDA?
Yeah. Right.
You want media? Okay. You want more media than last year, but you can't talk about certain things? That's interesting to me.
Definitely.
I would like that. Yeah.
Now it's your turn to derail me, Randy. But I would say
I'm more respectful.
I hope will happen is
I'll derail you. Don't worry.
Okay. Well, something that I'm expecting or hoping specifically.
Hey, look at me, audience! Look at me now. I'm distracting.
Something I'm expecting is at least the Robotaxi product. I can't keep a straight face. And I started. That's great.
He froze. What a funny still image.
It would be nice to see an actual vehicle that they've been talking about, or at least that Elon's hinted at in the past, being this Robotaxi. Especially if they're signing NDA stuff. It would be nice to see something like that drive around maybe a course around the HQ that they have in Palo Alto. There is some mountainous terrain around there, but I think there's definitely some paths that they can take and block off all the roads and all that. So something like that I could definitely expect, or something that I could dream of and see in reality this evening / whenever this comes out.
Did you see the invite
the
with the Cybertruck and the bots?
Yes. Oh, that one, the concept art. Yeah, there's a lot of hints in there. I didn't really look too hard into it. I just saw Cybertruck, which I was like, why is there a Cybertruck on the AI day? Robot, which I'm like, okay, that makes sense for AI day. And then all the techno cyberpunk looking stuff. So I'm like, okay.
There's a Tesla in the background that's like Model 3-esque, but it's not a Model 3. It's like a different shape. And some people were zooming in on it. Like, is that the Robotaxi or something? I don't think it is, but I don't know. Leaves.
I think that was that the art that you definitely used it for your thumbnail, but that's what inspired the whole big picture dilemma. Because that was a far out.
Kind of.
That was a far out there concept.
Yeah, no, it was on my mind for a while. I was just having a hard time articulating it, but that was all I could come up with. But it's like, yeah, there's the invite. There's a weird looking Tesla in the background behind this truck that seems like they're trying to cover it up or something. So maybe that would be cool.
It is very sleek.
It's slick looking, but if you zoom in, it doesn't quite fit the Roadster profile. Yeah. But either way, that's probably my best guess too, or not guess, best case scenario. They have like a test vehicle that has no steering wheel or pedals, and it rides you around. That would align with the waivers they had to sign, and say align with the whole hardware demo thing. So yeah, we'll see. I'm looking forward to it, and I think the market will tank. It'll be a great buying opportunity after they have it. Everyone doesn't understand, so sell the stock. There was no 1,000,000-mile battery. It's pointless.
It looks like a Model
S. How many miles
can that car in the background? But,
oh, really?
Yeah. The rims don't look... Well, they look like the silver aero rims that the 3 used to have. But also looks like a Panamera. It's like a Roadster and Model S mix.
Yeah.
But I don't think that's what the Robotaxi is supposed to look like. I think the Robotaxi is supposed to be a little bit more stout. Like the
leaks on the Model Y and Cybertruck were wrong, so this means nothing.
Very true, but at least those were single images, right? This is like a whole artwork of a whole bunch of different stuff, where the Y, the Y was shown to be like a giant stub nose, like Model X, like comparison or like similar build and size.
Yeah.
Or at least that's what I got from those images. The Cybertruck was just like teasing a light bar, and that was it. There was nothing.
And it was off. It was way off.
Yeah, there was nothing accurate with that.
It had a logo.
Yep.
Oh my goodness. Yeah. So
They were like, no wonder we got the design wrong. They gave us false information.
Fake news. Fake news.
Got
folks.
you.
Psych.
No one predicted the design. Well, it's because you threw us a wrong picture of it.
Right.
That kind of throws us off.
right.
All right. Well, hope you guys enjoy. Are you watching it live? It's kind of late.
Mr. Randy.
To be honest, it really depends if the what goes on with the hurricane out here.
Oh, true.
Like
The event starts for Randy at like 9 in the evening.
I mean,
It goes for, like, I think,
I
4 or
would
6
like
hours,
to watch
right?
the event. I want to watch the event. Yeah, I would like to. I can't say that. That's we getting hit pretty hard.
Pending
out here.
power.
Yeah, pending power. Yeah.
What did you say, Mike? Sorry, I couldn't.
I don't recall. That's okay.
Oh, okay.
I'm excited.
Are
though.
you watching it live?
Yes. 4 hours. That's what I said. It's like a 4 or 6 hour event, I think is what I've heard, which is insane.
Oh my god.
I think it's supposed to
Yeah,
go
for all
until like,
that.
what does it start? Like it starts at like 4 or 5. No. It starts at 6, and I think it goes until like 11. So
Oh.
5 hours
Dude,
of fun.
nope.
Yeah, I don't know.
Yeah, they
I
ain't
think
trying to
maybe
hire
that's-
me.
Honestly, I think that's the event time. Like that's the amount of time that the event's going to be going on. I don't think all that's going to be live streamed per se. It's going to be like the Cybertruck event where it's like, oh yes, the public gets to see the announcement, the unveiling, the talk about the features and all that, the breaking of the
Yes.
glass, and
2
then
o'clock in the morning, I'm in my bed eating a bag of chips. I hope you're not trying to recruit me. Sorry,
Brittany
getting
quiet.
Yeah.
It's a good reminder for the new engineers that you have to work long hours at Tesla. Yeah.
That
That's-
grind hustle
I don't
culture.
know. I'm excited
thing.
though. So
That grime.
Grimes, is she gonna be
I
there
know,
as
I'm-
the robot?
I just can't
Yo.
stop thinking they're gonna give people rides, but there's no actual bot. It's just a guy in a costume giving piggyback.
It's actually Grimes in the costume.
That would be cool.
Isn't she like 5 foot tall?
Aren't
You
you a
get
little
there
short to be a stormtrooper?
Doug DeMero jumps on Grimes' back. He's like, "This is Tesla bot."
Goes 0 to 60. Never.
What's the 0 to 60 of Tesla bot?
It doesn't have any cup holders either.
It's going backwards. It's falling backwards.
The door latch doesn't work either. Well, that's typical.
It's 0 to 60 is terminal velocity when it jumps off a building.
I can't do this anymore.
No one makes the first jump.
Imagine that.
All right.
Tesla bot can superhero land after a great
Yes.
fall.
It
Iron
completely
Man.
falls apart, but
Oh,
it can do
he's gonna do it. He's gonna do the land. Oh, that can't be good for its knees.
it.
Tesla
Very
bot
unpractical.
has
Excited.
adamantium claws.
We've decided to make the Cybertruck out of adamantium. It just sinks in the water immediately. All right, that's enough memes.
Right.
Thank you all for tuning in. We can talk about real Tesla news next week, and we'll see you all then. Take care. Good luck, Randy.
Thank
Bye-bye.
you.